I just felt that it would be fun to do a bit of a last minute tour. However, I want to share with the fact that twice now recently the tours have cut out. And so if it cuts out, I found my signal's been bouncing around. I think part of it is because look at that view behind me. Hey, I wasn't even gonna give it away right away. But with my my Canadian phone system going through whoever the partners are here, I think that's part of the problem. So if it cuts out, it does. But I would like to say, so I can't even say it, but I'm in Cymru. I'm in Wales. We are in Wales, but I'm up at a very famous town. I am there. Nice to see you here. It's lovely to have. So a beautiful drive this morning. Left Manchester. Um, People are always surprised, but I find the driving in this country very easy, and it's because the roads are busy enough that as long as you're good and you know the width of your car and space, you just follow the rules. So we left this morning from Manchester at a very civilized 9:30. Hey, bonjour. Hello. And so uh then we went into Chester. And AMB, nice. Look what I did in Chester. Look how short this hair is. I just felt like I had to my hippiness. I don't mean that. I'm not a hippie at heart, but the hair is just getting long. The skies are low. Hey, Cynthia. So I am out. Look at this. There is feel like well, I don't feel like I'm home because I'm on water, but there is limestone. Isn't it just gorgeous? So I am up in northwest Wales, and I am specifically in the community. Hello, the community of Llandudno or Llandudno. You know what? They've got it in the grass over there. I didn't think I'd see it. See if I can. There you go. Look at that. That's fun. There's Llandudno or Llandudno. The double L is a sound in the Welsh language. Now Wales is obviously, I mean, it's country. It's a region of the United Kingdom. It was a funny thing because the government of Alberta is more independent than the Welsh Assembly. Yet Wales is considered a country, but that's another conversation for another day. But Wales is obviously quite small, but very, very hilly and mountainy. And we will be staying down in Snowdonia tonight. So if you have good eyes, you will get the silhouette of the mountains out there in the distance. That is Snowdonia National Park. If I had to pick a favorite place in the UK physically, I think that's the winner. Now, I still haven't been all the way out to Stornoway in the Western Isles, but I've always really loved this. Hey there, talking. I just mentioned Scotland, um, but yes, I think this is my favorite place in the UK from just a sheer beauty. But Wales, of course, the country, the capital is Cardiff, down in the south, and up in North Wales here, which is a real bastion of the Welsh language. So as soon as you cross the border, you get welcome to Cymru, welcome to Wales. This is an old pier. This is the 1770s. So some of you join me on a pier tour down in Brighton while I'm up in the Irish Sea here. But of 3.1 million people, they are people. 3.1 million people in all of Wales. 3.3 million of them love to sing in choirs and play rugby. Those two things are so well known for. But and they do have wonderful singing. I've actually played the Welsh national anthem. So I'm walking into the wind, but what I'll do is curve around, and then the wind will be to my back, and hopefully that makes it a bit easier. Lovely windmills out in the distance. About Welsh as a first language. Now Welsh as a language is at least 1,000 years older than English. So there's P Celts and Q Celts, and I always get them wrong. So one of them are the Welsh, and so Welsh was closely tied linguistically to Cornish, which is there's a move to revive it, but it's not really spoken. And then you get down to Brittany or Breton en France, where I will be in about 2 weeks' time, a little less. And there's about a tiny percentage of the population that speak Breton now, Britain, and those are all tied together. So Welsh is not understandable to an Irish speaker, vice versa, although you would understand some of the context. However, this area, yeah, thanks, Dad. I just reception is unfortunately just a terrible problem. That's why I came out all the way on the pier. I thought I'd try and give you as many views as I could before it just cuts out. And it's been happening too much. You see how that seagull was flying so well? It was incredibly able. In fact, it was go able. Ah, now, Llandudno itself is about 20,000 people, but it's very, very Victorian. So, classic Victorian seaside resort town. Further north, of course, you have uh, Blackpool, up on the coast, which is, I guess, not in great condition. Oh, that's good. But here, I would say Clonbedon's really looking good. So I was in Wales here just last year, but I didn't make it up to Clonbedon because I'd come over from Ireland. And it was fun. I was seeing all the Irish trucks and everything heading out. So it only takes about 45 minutes from here to drive out to Holyhead, where then you hop on a ferry and you sail over to Dublin's Fair City. But this is probably more predominantly English speaking right here. You drive down the road into Conway, and that becomes Welsh speaking, and then into Snowdonia and Clanbrith and Carnarvon. And Carnarvon's where the giant castle is, and that is where the Prince of Wales is crowned the Prince of Wales. Right? And of course, King Charles, that gives you a bit of a connection. But Pier was right. And of course, train connection. It was just like when I was in York the other day, the trains arrived there in 1840, 1841. It was about 1841. They were down in Brighton. They connect out here, and this becomes a place to take in the waters out here. Um, it's Hi, Karen. I am. We are traveling a lot of the UK. I mean, a big, big, big chunk of England, and so we're out here. But I'm so glad, and the way the weather has worked out, I just have to say it's kind of fun. So I do have my coat on. I have my hat on, but see, I'm in shorts today too. Um, so it is just lovely. It's just a little coastal breeze. But from here, it'll only be a 40-minute drive down to Bitsy Coed out in the mountains. Elaine. That's gorgeous up here. So I might get up early. I don't know. I expect I'll have a really, really limited reception there. But if I did, maybe in the morning, it'd be fun to take everyone out for a little bit of a walk. But we're out on this classic pier. So we're just in this bay. And as you move, so I'm looking back now east towards England, and really Chester is not even an hour's drive. I mean, if you count traffic, it's an hour, and boom, you're back in England. So Chester, and I would have loved to do a tour today, just didn't have the time. Gorgeous walled city, almost exact same story as York, where you have the walls from about 80, 70, 70 with the Romans. And then, of course, they're all called back in 410, and that's the Romans leave Britain. The Angles and the Saxons come in and refortify the area. But the Romans had built a whole series of forts right around North Wales, the same way they had built Hadrian's Wall to stop fighting the Scots all the time. It was just easier to block them out, of course, the narrowest part of the island. So I mean, there really is some pretty spectacular history down in these areas. But also, here, because it's a Friday now, like people are out for birthdays and weddings. A lot of people, um, I bought a car. In fact, I've got a good joke, but I don't know if it's good to say on screen. But yes, the car that I rented actually turned out to be a BMW. It's the first time I've ever driven one. It's quite zippy and fun. And actually, I put fuel in it this morning, but that's the first time. You talk about some of the lovely areas through here, but there was this control of the Welsh, and then of course in the 1400s you had the active union between Wales and England, leading up, of course, to 1707, which is the active union between Scotland and England, and that becomes Great Britain, and of course the active union 1801 with Ireland, um, which becomes, of course, Great Britain, Ireland, and so forth, all connected. But North Wales here has managed to maintain. South Wales, of course, was historically a mining area, the coal mining. But North Wales is traditionally agricultural. They do have some hydropower, some really interesting hydropower into the area, and also these fabulous castles around. Although I'm most interested in the Welsh out in the hills. Now, I don't know if you've ever read an author, Gwyndair. I think it's Gwyndair, I'm thinking of. And he's written a lot about Wales. He's a Canadian author, actually. Yeah, it's a hug. You're right. It's a bit posh. Years ago, about when you would meet uh, a Welsh person. And in the old days, in the traditional Welsh context, if you met someone, you know how up in Iceland you would you still have the son of daughter of. So my dad's name was Ray, so I would be Patrick Raymondson. Um, or if I was a woman, it might was say Catherine, I'd be Catherine Raymond, that sort of thing. Sandwich was fantastic. Sandwich was fantastic. And then, of course, left or leave. Having that line when it was burned in our seat, so to look at craft with several people listed, including Groovy Flag. So to look at craft with several people listed, including Groovy Flag. But you can drive around this point out to the highway, you cross over to Manai Street, and that's where you get to Google, the longest lake, the longest place name in the world. You drive across all heading across Fair City, so we're connected very much that way. If you kept going, so we're set back a little bit, western obstacle, and come out here, and then right over the Isle of Man. Set back a little bit, western obstacle, and come out here, and then right over the Isle of Man, down into beautiful Belfast. So that was so neat. Now the Welsh flag is what I had at the picture for this little outing. And you all know the joke, don't you? Why is Wales the nicest country in the world? It's the only one that ever put the mother-in-law on the flag. It's a dragon. That's a classic Welsh joke. You know, a number of years ago in Western Canada, I actually had a group of people from the Snowdonia region of Wales here on tour, and there was about 25 or 30 of them. They were lovely and friendly and all kind of retirement age, and they all spoke Welsh. So much so that they even looked for words in English. And oh, there's my Siri. Is it breaking up again? It just seems to be that. And you could call TELUS and tell them they just keep letting us down. I just thought that's why I came all the way out on the pier, because I thought I'd try and give you a little bit of a view before the whole thing just collapses in on me. So I did want to do something down here. I hope you've been able. Uh, it is quite the pier, isn't it? I hope you're able to see the video that I did from Hebden Bridge the other day. That was a neat little visit out there. But there you can see it's a little hazy, but I think it's hazy because it's the warmest day of the year so far. Um, you missed the joke. It's why is Wales the friendliest country in the world? It's because they put the mother-in-law on the flag because of the dragon on the flag. There is a cable car up on the top there, but not really worth it. Um, well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, if it's not connecting yet again, I think I'll give up on doing tours here in the UK. Yeah, there we go. All right, everyone. Big